Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Your Vibes Podcast. Everybody's got a vibe and a story to tell. Here's this one. I hope you enjoy. This episode is brought to you by Your Vibes Entertainment. Your Vibes Entertainment is Middle Tennessee's premier hospitality entertainment consulting company. If you or your business are in need of a mobile DJ, group entertainment like trivia, karaoke, or bingo, or you just need a professional MC to help coordinate your event's day of logistics, we have you covered. It's no work and all play when you hire Your Vibes Entertainment. You can trust us to bring top-of-the-line sound equipment, lighting, and a professional attitude to any event you are hosting. If you are interested in boosting your revenue, showcasing your company, or just want to provide high-vibe entertainment for your family, friends, employees, or clients, please contact us on Facebook or Instagram at Your Vibes Entertainment. Shoot us an email at yventertainmentservicesllc@gmail.com or reach out to the owner Michael directly at 615-330-3236. Thanks, and always remember, stay vibey, my friends. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome back for another episode. Got a special episode today. Mr. Talmage Woodall is in here with us. How you doing, Talmage?
We're doing good. How you doing this afternoon?
Doing fine. Thanks for taking the time. I know you got a busy schedule, but you are on the campaign trail for General Sessions Judge. So any kind of FaceTime, airtime, anything you can get, right? That'll help out.
That's correct. And thank you for having me on your podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, you're part of the crew now, and looking forward to this. Is like we were talking earlier. This is close to the 50th episode, so I'm hoping to have another 50 more and keep this thing going. I think Dickson's received it well, and I know I sure enjoy it, and it's a little bit of a creative outlet for me. So thanks for jumping on. And Talmage, I haven't really known Talmage too terribly long. He did just move into the neighborhood, so we've been kind of passing each other by. I've been talking about having a grill out or something every now and then. Maybe when the weather warms up, we can,
that's right.
We can get everybody together.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so we got him in here today to kind of just speak his piece on who he is and where he came from and kind of the projection path that he's got planned out for the next couple months and should things go his way the next couple years. And just let everybody know what he's got to say. And of course, if you're listening to this and you've got any questions for Talmage, you can find him on Facebook and Instagram, I guess, right?
That's correct.
And then I'll post kind of his contact information on the post of this too, if anybody's got anything they want to talk to him about.
I'll give that out in the end of the show.
Cool. All right, well, I guess in true cadence of the show, we can kind of jump into just who is Talmage and growing up and family life. And I know you've got a long family history here too.
That's correct.
Some in the same profession as well. So just following in some footsteps and blazing your own trail. And so just wherever you want to start, just jump right in.
All right. Well, it's a pleasure to be on the show today. I moved to Dickson when I was 5 years old in 1990. Before that, I was born in Memphis, actually.
Oh, wow.
And I lived there for a few months. My dad was working at a law firm there, and he decided he wanted to get out of Memphis. So we moved to Camden, Tennessee, when I was about 1.
Big city.
Yes, Benton County. Where my dad was hired as he's got the same job I've got now. Or back then, it was an assistant DA for, I think they're the 24th district. So he did that from about 84 to 90. That's when he quit being assistant DA. We moved to Dickson. We lived in a house, 306 Merle Street, right there in downtown Dickson. Mm-hmm. My dad started up his own law practice, and I lived there till I was 18. And then after that, I went to the University of Alabama.
If I could murmur the words "Roll Tide," I would. But I just
hopefully nobody will hold that against me. But and I didn't know this till a few months ago. My dad told me this, but I actually have a long line of history in this county. Our family does on my dad's mother's side. So my grandmother on my dad's side I met my distant ancestor, Charles Thompson. He was a Civil War veteran. He fought for the Virginia militia. He settled from North Carolina here, Yellow Creek Road area, in 1810.
Whoa.
Yeah. And my grandmother, Jean Taylor Woodall, was a direct descendant of him.
Okay.
Her mother was a Thompson. Her mom's name was Stella Thompson.
Okay.
She married a Taylor. That's where Taylor Funeral Home comes from.
Oh, no. Okay.
And so Jean Taylor married my grandfather, Tom Woodall.
Okay.
And then they had my dad, Tommy Woodall. And, so that's
there we are. Brings it all
8
together.
generations.
Yes. Mike had told me somehow you were related to that side over there. So now, now I get it.
And Charles Thompson, he is actually buried in a cemetery off Thompson Road.
Okay.
Which is off Yellow Creek Road.
Yes.
I haven't been to it. I need to go over there and check it out one day.
Yeah.
I think my dad's been to it.
Okay.
But I thought that was pretty cool. So
Cool.
I've got my roots run deep in this county.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, it is. There's very few. There are some families here with some deep roots, but it's starting to get mixed in with a lot of new blood too.
That's true. That's good.
It's absolutely good. It's
good for the county.
Yeah.
And Dickson has changed quite a bit, especially downtown Dickson since we moved here.
I love every second of it.
Oh yeah, I do too.
Yeah, and,
it's great.
46 is growing a little bit. I know that people are starting to complain a little bit about traffic over there, which is not a bad problem to have. So,
that's true.
New business is always good business for the most part. But
that's true.
So you graduated from Alabama, and then you jumped into what'd you do right when you got out?
Well, right when I got out. Well, before Alabama, I went to elementary school here till 6th grade.
Yeah.
Then my parents, they sent me to Battleground Academy in Franklin, which wasn't bad. It's a great school. I played football there. When I was going there, actually, there was probably, I'd say 12 or 14 kids from Dickson that went there. We had a bus. When I was in 7th grade, there was a bus, a little van that took us.
Okay.
Took all the kids.
Where did it pick you up?
We met at the Chapel CB by Luther Lake.
There you go.
And then we drove to, So, my treasurer, Ross Smith, he graduated BJ.
Okay. I guess that would have been kind of the closest private high school at that point.
Yep.
Okay.
But it was a great experience.
Yeah.
Went to the University of Alabama. I studied history and criminal justice. I got a major in both of those. Joined a fraternity. Had a great experience there. When I started college, I thought I wanted to go into some type of law enforcement. That's why I got the criminal justice, and I really liked history. And probably around junior or senior year, I decided, I want to try to get into law school. So I took the LSAT a few times. I don't remember taking the LSAT. It was so long ago. I don't even remember the score I got. But I graduated there in December of 2006. And, I really don't remember how many law schools I applied to. I don't remember applying to too many. But the one law school I did apply to was Nashville School of Law. And, it still is a night school. It's part-time. And it kind of drew me to me because, I knew all the teachers were practicing lawyers or judges. You get a practical law education. The cost was efficient, wasn't near as expensive as UT or Alabama or a full-time law school. And I could work during the day and earn a little bit of a living to help pay for law school or anything else. And it was National School of Law was a great decision for me. There's a lot of good teachers up there. It's a struggle, to work full time and then go to law school 2 or 3 nights a week from 6 to 10.
Whoa.
I couldn't do it now. When I started there, I was probably me and a few other guys were probably the youngest people in the class. A lot of people were 10, 15, 20 years older than me. I was 22 at the time, and they had families and kids, and there's no way I could do that.
Whoa.
I was, a single man. I just moved to Nashville. I lived in Nashville while I was going there, and I don't see how they did it. I mean, I don't. It just baffles me.
With everything that you've got going on there, you're like, all right, hold on, how am I going to fit law school into all this?
Yeah. And it was much easier to do as a 22-year-old single man than.
So what were those people? So if they're older, that would be a career change for the most part.
They just
woke up one morning, I think I'll be a lawyer.
Yeah, and some of them, I guess their companies paid for them to go there.
Sure.
And so, it was just a step up in their company. Which, but it was a great education. My first job coming out of University of Alabama, I got hired by, I don't know if you know Richard Arnold.
Yeah.
At the time in 2000, because January 2007, he was working at the Secretary of State's office in the Publications Division. And that's where I worked. The main thing we did there, we were in charge of all the blue books that got distributed everywhere.
I think we've got...
Yeah, publishing those. We also did edits to all rules and regulations that the state of Tennessee has.
Okay.
Code books, regulations. We'd go in there and edit it after the legislature changed the rules. So it'd be publicized in rules and regs books or Tennessee Code annotated.
Sounds riveting.
Yeah. I was thankful to have the job, and because it wasn't it was a job that allowed me, it wasn't that stressful, so I can still, focus on studies and have a, fairly, it was a job that it wasn't going to wear me out.
Sure.
And, I could still get through the first year of law school. So, but I did that for about a year and a half. Now, the second job I had in law school was probably one of the best jobs that any law student would ever want. I got hired on in January of 2009 to be a law clerk and a court officer. And what I mean by court officer, that's not a bailiff who's got a gun and can arrest people. It's somebody who basically takes care of a jury during a jury trial. But I got hired on in Williamson County by the circuit court judges there. I worked for 4 of them. At the time, it was Judge Jeff Bivens, who is now a Supreme Court judge, state of Tennessee. Judge Tim Easter, who is now on the Court of Criminal Appeals. Judge Robbie Bill, he is retired from being a judge. He works in private practice in Franklin now. And Judge Jim Martin, who is still a circuit court judge in Williamson County. And the reason why I say it was a great job for me, I worked there for about 3 years. So I was in court every day. And basically, 1 month I'd be in criminal court. And, the way they did criminal court, Mondays and Tuesdays were plea, motion, docket call days. And I would sit there. My main job on those days was to be, any exhibit that had to go to the judge, I'd hand it to the judge. The judge would take breaks and let the lawyers discuss cases in the back room or the jury room there. And I would keep the judge informed of what's going on in the docket. Hey, this case is ready for a motion. This case is ready. These pleas are ready. And then I would also, the rest, Monday or Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays were jury days. So a jury would be called in. They'd have DUIs. They'd have anywhere from, murder cases, child sex abuse cases. But they tried a lot of DUIs in Williamson County. And my job as the law clerk or the court officer was to, I would have to stand up there. When they would call the jury, I'd call the names in the box. And once the jury was picked, I was in charge of them. Like, I showed them where the jury room was, if they needed anything, if they needed a note during, the trial, I'd get the note, tell the judge, like, hey, they've got a question. And one of the things I learned pretty quick, when they would deliberate, the trial's over with, my job was to sit there by the door and make sure, if they needed anything, and I can hear them talking and deliberating.
Yeah.
And that's when I figured out pretty quick, you never know what a jury's thinking, man. I mean, it was wild, some of the things that they would brought up during a jury deliberation.
Huh. So you could be sitting there listening to the whole thing, and you're like, all right, I kind of get a feel. And then you sit in there listening to them, you're like, oh, boy.
Yeah. And you get because I did that during the day. And at night, 2 or 3 nights a week, I'd go and have class. So I get to see, watch DAs, what they did, watch what good defense lawyers did, watch arguments, watch how the court ruled. It was very practical education. And then, I do that. I'll do criminal court one month, and the next month I would do civil court. And that was mostly divorce court. And I learned pretty quick sitting through those hearings that I did not want to do a lot of divorce work because it seemed like though it was lucrative, especially in Williamson County, it was a headache.
Sure.
And
a lot of personal issues.
Yes. That I was more drawn to criminal work.
Yeah.
But that was a great job. I thoroughly enjoyed that job.
Yeah, especially going to class and you're seeing it during the day and learning it kind of more in detail at night. So you can kind of, as you're sitting there listening to everybody, you can kind of sit there and just picture yourself in that moment of like, okay.
Absolutely.
This school is actually going to apply to me when I get out. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm not learning, physics or, third algebra or anything like that you'll never use again. But cool. Okay.
And so I started law school in February of 2007, and I graduated December 10th. And then I had to take the bar exam. And, the bar exam it is basically 2 days, and it's pretty much everything you learned in those 4 years crammed into 2 days.
So you took 4 years of...
Yeah, it's a because it's a night school, it's a 4-year program.
Okay.
Pretty much all full-time programs are 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. But because it's spread out in a night school, you can't go to school every day or 4 or 5 times a week. It's spread out in a 4-year program. So the bar exam is a very difficult task to overcome. It'll test you mentally. And, it took me to the third time to be successful. And, they only give that test 2 times a year.
Oh, boy. In
February and in October. So, the first time I took it, I was 2 points away. I was working at the same time. I was still working at the being a law clerk. Second time I took it, I was 6 points away. And after that, I just decided, you know what, I'm going to quit my job, and I'm going to, at the clerk's office, being a law clerk, and I'm just going to dedicate, 6 weeks to studying for this bar exam. And that's what I did, and I was successful.
Cool.
And, during that time frame, I learned a lot about adversity and how to overcome disappointment and how to just keep fighting through it and ultimately getting to your goal, which was to pass the bar exam and become a lawyer in the state of Tennessee. And that's what I did.
Yeah,
I did it the hard way.
Sure.
But I learned a lot about myself, and it made me a stronger person, to tell you the truth. It taught me how to deal with adversity.
Yeah.
And, looking back, it was very disappointing and very hard to deal with during that time frame, but it definitely made me a better person.
Yeah, and you start off kind of right off the bat with it too. Because I'm sure there's no adversity in the courtroom, is there?
Oh, there's plenty of adversity. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it kind of, I guess, was a reality check as far as, all right, this is not going to be, just a walk in the park with how everything goes. And this is a real serious deal. And, you're walking into a serious profession. Obviously, you've got people's livelihoods in your hand. And, it's good that, the system, kind of requires you to be able to pass such a tough test. And, they don't take it lightly.
They don't.
Absolutely.
Absolutely not. So I passed the bar exam in April of 2012. And before that, but there's a time frame between February and April. I actually worked at a firm here for a little bit. At the time, it was Brogdon, Creasy, and Sanders. David Brogdon, Jerry Creasy, and Kyle Sanders. But they have since split their own ways. But I worked for them for a little bit. It was a good experience there. I sent second chair with Jared Creasy on a trial. I think it was a domestic assault trial in Waverly, Humphreys County.
Second chair? I was the second lawyer.
Yeah, I didn't really do anything to prep. I just sat there and, I helped Jared Creasy kind of pick the jury and just kind of watch. And but I passed in April of 2012, and I decided that I would just I would hang a shingle, go out on my own. And I just at that point I thought the best place for me to do that would be Williamson County, because I'd been working there for the past 3 or 4 years, and I knew the judges, I knew the DA's office, I had a lot of contacts there, much more contacts there than I do, now in Dickson County. Hung a shingle. I rented some office space from a lawyer in downtown Franklin, and that building was full of other lawyers. There were some criminal defense lawyers, there was civil lawyers, and I mostly did pretty much 80 to 85% was criminal defense work. And I had to hustle. I mean, I would take clients in Williamson County. I would go to Hickman County, was a county that was in the same judicial district as Williamson County at the time. I'd go to Hickman County. I went to Dickson County. Pretty much anywhere anybody would pay me for my legal services, I would go. And you have to do that. Didn't get much trial experience. I did that for about a year. And, I didn't get any jury trial experience, but I got courtroom experience as much as you can. Because you're in the court. I was going to court, 2 or 3 days a week. But it was good. And there was another lawyer in that building where I rented from, who was a civil lawyer. And he said one of his friends, they owned a plaintiff's firm in Nashville, and he's like, man, they're looking for an associate to hire. And I was like, at that point, I was like, you know what do I have to lose? I'll just go in there and interview and see what happens. I interviewed. It was what I mean by plaintiff's firm. It's personal injury, car wreck case, workers' compensation.
Dealing with a lot of insurance companies.
Exactly. Dickson Insurance. Exactly. You know the deal. Yeah. And I got hired. I was fortunate enough to get hired, but I quickly just found out it just wasn't for me. I missed being in the courtroom.
So where were these? Where were these being held?
What do you mean?
If you weren't in the court, like the cases, I mean,
you would get people would call in your office like, hey, I got injured. You go interview the person. He would start a case. You would start a case, and you file a claim with the insurance company. The first person you would talk to before you even filed a lawsuit was a insurance adjuster. Yeah. You would try to get it settled there, and if you couldn't, you'd file a lawsuit, and you'd have a year to do that, depending on the injury. So
those are mainly just dealt with in office.
And then, you have to do depositions. Depositions, doctors, physical therapists, clients, defendants, and it just that line of work just wasn't for me. I missed the courtroom. I missed the action. And I heard that there was at the time, this was in 2013, I heard that there was going to be an opening at the DA's office back home in Dixon. And at that time, General Dan Alsbrooks was the elected DA. And there was an opening, and I got an interview with General Alsbrooks, and he hired me in October of 2013. And I'm very thankful for that opportunity he gave me, because I've been an assistant DA for going on 9 years, and it has been an awesome opportunity and a great job. It's been very satisfying for me. I love this job, but I'm looking for the next step in my legal career. and that's one of the reasons I'm running for general session judge, and we'll get to that later.
Yeah. So you passed the bar in April of 12, right? And then kind of did a few things in between then and I guess October of 13. And then you've been in this same spot for, would you say, 9 years?
Mm-hmm. That's it. Yes, sir. 9 years.
So, you're now at a crossroad here as far as kind of what your next move is, and you've obviously made the decision. And, maybe would you mind diving into, I guess, a couple highlight some accomplishments throughout those 9 years, some things that really kept that flame lit. Obviously you've tried out. Something I always like to say to myself is you don't know what you want till you know what you don't want, kind of thing.
That's correct.
Yeah. And even, and those happen in equal and opposite proportions as well, too. I mean, the more you know about what you don't want, the more you know more in detail about what it is that you do want. So I guess throughout those kind of 9 years, maybe some trials and tribulations that, and I'm sure you maybe had some questions about, what was going on throughout that journey and kind of, obviously a smart guy and kind of think about the future. So just kind of where your mind was at in those 9 years and some of the things that you went through that finally led to, your decision to run for judge.
Absolutely. I'd love to. So I counted this up the other day. I've tried 44 jury trials since I've been a prosecutor. My first job when I was hired in 2013, I was the DUI prosecutor because our district, we've got 5 counties in our judicial district. It's the 23rd judicial district. There's Stewart County, Houston County, Humphreys County, Dickson County, and Cheatham County. And the DUI prosecutor prosecutes all the DUIs, vehicular homicides, and vehicular assaults in Dickson, Cheatham, and Humphreys County. It's actually a federal grant. Well, I don't get paid federally. Or at that time, I didn't. They pay the state of Tennessee, which the state of Tennessee pays me, or pays that position. And right out of the gate, first month I was there, I tried a case. Tried the first DUI case. I probably tried, 1 or 2 DUIs a month when I was doing that. And I did that from, March of 2015 is when, at that point, Ray Crouch had been elected the DA. March of 2015, Ray took me out of the DUI slot and put me in the slot. I was a prosecutor for Houston County. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Aaron, Tennessee, but that's Houston County. Mm-hmm. And my job there was to prosecute every crime that was committed there, from a public intox to a first-degree murder. Circuit court, which circuit court is cases involving felonies and misdemeanors, but in circuit court you have the opportunity to have a jury trial. I did general sessions court, juvenile court, everything. And from 2015 to, I guess, last January, my obligations kind of got shifted a little bit because Assistant DA Kerry Thompson retired, and he was assigned to Circuit Court in Dickson County. And Circuit Court in Dickson County, the caseload in Dickson County is, we have 4 assistant DAs that handle that. I'm one of them now because the caseload's so large. In Houston County, one DA can just handle all the caseload. The caseload is not as large as it is, which makes sense because the population's not as big. So Kerry retired. Ray then assigned me. You're going to be assigned. You're going to have a caseload in Dickson County Circuit Court, but you're going to keep your caseload in Houston County Circuit. And I don't do any more general sessions court in Houston County or juvenile court, but I still go over there for circuit court. And right now, so this month in January, I was in Dickson County. Next month, February, I'll be in Houston County. It kind of switches every other month.
Okay.
So, and I've tried, man, of those 44 cases, I tried my first first-degree murder case back in April of this year.
Oh, boy.
The trial actually occurred in Dickson County, or the trial happened in Dickson County. It was a week-long trial. Involved the defendant was a man who killed his wife. The case it occurred in Houston County, but we changed the venue prior to COVID because the victim worked in the county clerk's office, and she was pretty well known. And so we just agreed to change it to Dickson County.
Is that a pretty lengthy task to do something, or is that kind of like, it's understandable?
Yeah, I mean, most of the time,
Okay.
the worst thing you want to do as a prosecutor is try a case 2 times.
Yeah.
Because of an issue like that. So at that point, we looked at it as like, we have nothing to lose. We might as well change the venue.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to have to, try it in Houston County, and then the guy's convicted on first-degree murder, and then an issue come up on appeal where we have to try it again because, the Court of Criminal Appeals says the defendant, his rights are violated because the jury they knew everybody. The jury was tainted, and he should get a new trial at a new venue. We don't want that to happen. That's the last thing you want to happen. So it's better to head that off at the front end. And, it was nice because that courthouse in Dickson County is incredible. I don't know if you've been to it.
Not yet. No, I know leadership just went through there, I guess, last week.
But it has definitely been a huge asset to this county. The courtrooms are pretty large. Just the whole, and the county commission, and props to the county commission and Mayor Bob Rowell for getting that done, because it is something our county definitely needed. Everything's upgraded technology wise. It's just a huge asset. Good. And it was fun trying the case in there. Ended up being, he was convicted of second-degree murder.
How does that happen?
A lot of people, these days, this day and age, in my view,
first degree premeditated.
Okay. Premeditated murder. You got to prove that he intentionally. And premeditation's, this we can go on. We can go for 3 hours on this. On what premeditation is. It can be argued that premeditation can happen in a snap, like 2 or 3 seconds, or it can be months where you're planning it. But it's my belief that's what because a second degree murder is just a knowing killing. Like a lot of times, heat of passion murder. You just lose your mind and
kill somebody.
Yeah. Exactly. And so we argued it was premeditation. And I think that's the issue why the jury came back on second degree. I guess they didn't think that there was enough forethought or premeditation to go first degree. So, but the guy he's already been sentenced. He got sentenced to the maximum 25 years to serve. So the victim's family, they were happy with that.
Okay.
I think he's 53 years old, 55 years old. So.
Did he have a violent history or anything?
No, he didn't.
Nope.
No, he didn't.
I'm sure you see quite a bit of that just comes across your desk. You're like, oh, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's see what else. I tried that. I tried a false report case. That was the last trial I had in Houston County, which was not guilty, and I'm still kind of upset about that. But I got to get over it. I've tried arson cases. I've tried illegal drug sale cases where law enforcement will send in a CI to buy drugs off somebody. Multiple DUIs. I've tried vehicular homicides. I've tried 2 pretty hard-fought vehicular homicides in Houston County when I was at.
Those just mainly deal when they're intoxicated, or
you got one of the elements you have to prove in order to get a conviction on vehicular homicide is intoxication.
Okay.
Whether it be alcohol or drugs or a combination of both.
Okay.
One of the ones that was probably the most awful one I ever tried was fact pattern. This individual was a vehicular homicide where he killed a young family. I think the boyfriend was 20 years old, the girlfriend was 19, and they had a 12-day-old baby.
Oh, no. Ugh.
And it was a horrible wreck on Highway 13, and he got ejected from his truck, and he got sent to the hospital. And we kind of had to prove intoxication by circumstantial evidence, because we had a urine test, and
so he lived through that. Obviously.
He did, yeah. And the jury came back. His urine was positive for, I believe, it was methamphetamine and oxycodone.
That's a heavy combination.
And the way he acted at the hospital, I mean, we had to tie in a lot of things to prove intoxication. His driving, evidence of the crash. And, these vehicle homicide cases, the Tennessee Highway Patrol investigates those. And they have got a team called the CERT team, Critical Incident Response Team. And those guys are experts in crash reconstruction. And, man, they are great. They are a great asset to prosecutors and to the state of Tennessee. They come in with a booklet, and it's got everything in there. Crash, they've got diagrams, crash reconstruction. I mean, everything. Everything about all the individuals involved in the crash. They do a really great job.
Cool.
But he was convicted he was charged with 3 counts of vehicular homicide for each victim. And he was convicted, and he actually got sentenced to serve 36 years.
Wow. Wow. I'm sure that was a big win for you.
It was.
Yeah.
I've tried. The worst cases to try, in my opinion, are child sex abuse cases. Yeah. Those are the absolute worst.
Do we see a lot of those here in this county?
Unfortunately, yes. Those are just tough because especially if the victim's, 5 to 10 years old, it's tough. The victim's, 18, with any victim of sex abuse. But those aren't as easy as people try to think they will be to prosecute.
Even if there's just an insurmountable amount of evidence dealing with the child in that case too,
but those are definitely the toughest ones to do.
Looking somebody in the eye that's done that to somebody would be,
yeah,
it'd be hard not to jump across there and just start swinging. But I guess it'd be a little unprofessional on your part.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. But being an assistant DA and working for General Ray Crouch, it's been a great experience for me.
Good.
It's definitely molded me. And the experiences I've had being an assistant DA, the contacts I've made, the people I've met, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Sure. And you've gotten familiar with the processes of everything and how Dickson works. And
absolutely.
Have obviously tried, cases from A to Z of all different types and all different results and all different people as well too, and in multiple different places. So you've got your wings spread and a lot of experience under your belt for being so young as well too. A lot of energy and so you've gone through these 9 years. When was it about that you started thinking, I think I may be interested in running for judge?
I would say probably about 2 years ago.
Okay.
I started talking to Sarah Grace about it.
Cool.
And Sarah Grace is my wife, by the way. And, I talked to a few people and just kind of molded over. And, I thought to myself, the way I look at it, I'm not an elected official. Ray Crouch is the elected DA, but, being an assistant DA, you represent the state of Tennessee. And the way I look at it, when I walk in that courtroom and I'm about to try a case or I'm about to go do anything, I represent the state of Tennessee. And my little part of the state of Tennessee, who I represent, are Dickson County, Houston County, all the counties in this district, all the people who live in these counties. And the way I look at it, I serve those people when I go to try a case. And looking at, this position, Dickson County General Sessions Judge, it's another opportunity for me, another challenge for me to serve Dickson County, and it's the citizens of Dickson County in a different way. And that would be to be a elected judge.
Yeah.
Just a different challenge, but you're serving the same people, the way I look at it.
Yeah. So why don't you just maybe, I guess, dive into the details as far as what the position would entail, kind of what General Sessions judge does. And
yeah, a lot of people they get confused. They don't know exactly how the court system works. So basically, a General Sessions judge in Tennessee, here in Dickson County, there's one General Sessions judge. Now, like Davidson County, where the population is a lot more, they've got 10 or 12 General Sessions judges. A General Sessions judge, they handle both civil and criminal cases. So in criminal court, let's just take, for example, how does a person find themselves in General Sessions Court? So let's say somebody driving down the road, they're intoxicated. They get pulled over. They get charged with a DUI. Their arrest warrant is issued, and they're arrested on the spot for that DUI. Once that arrest warrant occurs, they can make bond. If they make bond, they'll be given a court date. That first court they go to is the Dickson County General Sessions Court. That's where it all starts. And in criminal court, so a General Sessions judge has jurisdiction over all misdemeanors, all felonies. But if somebody is charged, like DUI first is an A misdemeanor. And what an A misdemeanor is, the maximum punishment for an A misdemeanor is 11 months and 29 days in the county jail to serve. That's the maximum you can get. Now, that doesn't always happen. Most of the time, people will plead to a misdemeanor, and they'll be put on probation for 11 months and 29 days. But if it's a DUI, they'll have to serve 48 hours in jail. So a General Sessions judge can dispose of all misdemeanors. By dispose, I mean somebody can go in there. That person who got pulled over for that DUI can go in there with their lawyer or without a lawyer, or if they hire if the public defender is appointed to them, they can go in there and plead guilty to that misdemeanor in front of the General Sessions judge. Now, if somebody is charged with a felony, like aggravated assault, which is assault with a deadly weapon or severe injury occurs due to the assault, that person who is charged with that aggravated assault walks into General Sessions Court. They cannot sit in there and say, "Judge, I want to plead to this felony." Doesn't happen. They cannot plead to a felony in General Sessions Court. So what happens if somebody is charged with a felony in General Sessions Court, they've got a couple of options. Same way with misdemeanors. You go in there and you can have what they call a preliminary hearing. And that is a probable cause hearing in front of a General Sessions judge, in which the judge hears proof on, from the arresting officer, any other witnesses, a victim possibly. Usually the defendant usually don't testify during a probable cause hearing. And if a judge determines after hearing all the proof that there's enough probable cause that that defendant committed that crime, whether it be DUI or aggravated assault, the case is bound over to the Dickson County grand jury, which is kind of the same. That's another probable cause hearing or presentment in which, our office, the DA's office, and law enforcement go in to the grand jurors, and they present the case to the grand jurors, and they decide to return an indictment based on probable cause. So, the General Sessions judge he can also handle violations of probation on misdemeanor charges. Say that person who pled guilty to the DUI and got on probation for 11 months and 29 days, if later, like 3 or 4 months down the road, he violates his probation, which means he commits another crime, he doesn't report, doesn't pass a drug screen, then a probation warrant will be issued on him, and he'll go back in front of the judge, and either the DA's office will settle, and the person's defense lawyer agree on a settlement on the violation of probation, or there can be a violation of probation hearing, in which it's the judge's discretion to determine whether or not to make that person serve their sentence, put them back on probation after serving 30 or 45 more days. It's really up to his or her discretion, the judge's discretion.
Okay.
Now, as far as civil cases, a general sessions judge can handle any civil suits that are no more than $25,000.
Okay.
So, if I come in there, I want to sue Michael Shepard for $10,000, I can do it in general sessions court.
Okay. For anything.
Well, yeah. I mean, like,
you stole a statue out of my yard or something.
Yeah. So, and also another thing that a general sessions judge, they hear violation protection hearings. Somebody comes in and they want to get what they call an ex parte, order of protection hearings. Ex parte order of protection, which they go to the clerk's office and they say, hey, this person is bothering me. He's texting me, he's harassing me. I want to get an ex parte order of protection. I think it's for 15 days. There should be no contact between the named person and that order. And then eventually it'll go to a hearing once that ex parte order is served on the person who's allegedly doing the harassing. They hear those types of hearings. So it's a very important court because it's usually the first court that anybody goes to. Like if you go down the road and get a speeding ticket in the county, and you want to contest that, it'll go in front of general sessions court.
Okay.
So
is that usually a losing battle there, seemingly?
I would think so. I mean, that's the judge's discretion.
Sure.
It's usually, and our office we usually don't. The DA's office doesn't prosecute those. And I might be wrong in this, but I think most of the time in traffic court, it's usually just the officer who wrote the citation for speeding and the person who was cited for speeding. So that's up to it's the judge's discretion on what to do with that.
So and kind of your thoughts on, I know we were kind of texting back and forth on this a little earlier, but your thoughts in running and kind of how you would go about it and some of the things that you would do should you get elected. I know that we may not have a solution to it, but one of the things you had brought up was kind of the drug treatment, I say issue, but it seems kind of like a roundabout issue. Some things that are going on there as far as how the process is going, how it's handled, and kind of how it seems that there may not be at the moment, a helpful solution to how that process works.
Well, yeah, I mean, this whole state has an opioid issue, whether it be fentanyl, heroin. When I first started out at the DA's office, a lot of people were doing pills, oxycodone, hydrocodone, and that's kind of subsided. Now it's all fentanyl and heroin. Regardless of that, I mean, and this is an issue that's in circuit court and in general sessions court. Some people, they come into court and they're defendants, whether it be they've been charged with a crime or they're on there for violating their probation and they're in jail. And, they express that they need some drug treatment. And, I'm not against drug treatment at all. I just want to make sure that, as a DA too, that the person who is wanting it really wants it and needs the help and wants it. And that's some of the things, as a prosecutor, you have a lot of discretion. And whether or not, because a lot of the times, well, I'll get back to that later. Going back to this issue with people criminal defendants who are seeking drug treatment and the issues we have with that. So they come to court. Most of the time they're incarcerated. they want to get furloughed to a drug treatment facility. And there's some great ones around here. But sometimes, a furlough will be granted. They'll get out. And these treatment facilities, they're inpatient. A lot of the time, the issue we're having is that these criminal defendants will walk out. And in the furlough order, it's stated in there, if you don't complete the program and you leave, you're going to be charged with felony escape. And that's what happens.
So is there no, or maybe none, but is there just kind of, I guess, a lack of security? Or, I mean, how easy is it for someone to walk out of one of those
that's
places?
something I can't answer that question.
Okay.
Because I personally haven't been to any of these treatments. So that's something I want to do. I'd like to go and visit them and, walk around them and, take a tour. But it's really, I don't think they can, they can't, I don't know if they can't force them to be there. If they want to walk out, they can just walk out, And, they'll be charged with a felony escape.
They know
most of the time, it's no bond, held without hold for hearing, no bond, and they're right back in jail. Just looking, I pulled this from the clerk's office in General Sessions Court from February 2nd of 2018 to June 1st of 2020. There were 53 escape arrest warrants issued and served on defendants for felony escape in that time frame. And based off this list, I don't know if all of those were based on them leaving a furlough status. It could be a number of things. It could be, they escaped from the jail, which usually doesn't happen. They, were on a work crew and escaped from that work crew that day when they were out, which doesn't really happen very often. I would say 95% of the time they're charged with escape because they left a treatment facility or violated their furlough by leaving a treatment facility. And, I don't know what the solution to this issue is. It is definitely something that I would look into if elected. I think drug treatment is necessary because the ultimate goal is to try to get people who have this problem off the drugs. Because most of the time people commit crimes who are on drugs because they want to feed their drug habit. They break into houses, they steal things, and they get charged with theft, burglary, because they don't have any money to feed their drug habit. They got to steal things to do it. And the goal of treatment is to try to get them off the drugs so they're a productive member of society. I don't know what the solution is. I know in circuit court there's a drug court program that I have. I personally, as a DA, assistant DA, have entered into plea agreements where I've sent defendants to drug court, and they've got a pretty good rate of success. It's been going on for a long time. Judge Birch started it, and Judge Lockhart Mash is the one who handles drug court now. She's got her own team, and it's a pretty good way of holding people accountable who go through a drug treatment program, in my opinion. And I don't know if that's a solution. I don't know. It's a lot of moving parts to do that.
Yeah.
If a drug court needs to be started in General Sessions, but it's something I would definitely look into.
Sure. Anything to help the cause.
Yeah.
It kind of almost makes you think. What's the origin of the drug abuse in the first place?
Yeah.
Should A, B, and C not have happened? Would they be in front of you in the first place? And does that come down to family life or early childhood abuse or
it's a number of issues.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're we're trying to think of a solution to something that there's probably 15, 20 different issues that have gone on before to create that type of drug problem. And I was talking to somebody the other day. I think it was a police officer saying that that Dickson may be starting to get or has had a little bit of an MS-13 type problem of people kind of running around here. Not necessarily hardcore gangs, but definitely with the location of where Dickson is, as far as it being plopped right in between three kind of major districts, and then the last set of lights before Jackson for the most part. So, I'm sure that there's a lot of it running through here and a lot of access to it, unfortunately, and the way this county's set up, I guess the median income of the family isn't, and really, I guess you working in Nashville and Williamson County and now Dickson, really, drug problems aren't necessarily, obviously, kind of way lower income is you're going to see a higher rate of it, but I'm sure that there's still some issues, maybe not from getting caught of the dealing part of it or something like that, but drug issues kind of span across all.
That's correct.
Different types of people.
That's correct.
Yeah. Shouldn't be pigeonholed into somebody that that doesn't have any money or lives kind of a lower lifestyle.
That's true.
Yeah. All right. So you're officially on the campaign trail.
I am.
You're officially on the campaign trail, and you've sponsored trivia at Furnace. I sure appreciate that. I will be attending the Delta Waterfowl Banquet.
That's correct.
With all the who's who of Dickson.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, cool. It's going to be a good time. So what's your plan? How we've gotten kind of through who you are and general sessions and kind of the things that you're advocating for. But my cousin Stacy has just gone through a pretty lengthy campaign trail, and my uncle was state rep for a while, and so I've kind of been around, and Mike was father-in-law was head of the Republican Party here for a little bit, so I've been in the proximity of campaign trails, and I can understand how draining they can be. But kind of what's next for you? What are your next stops? What are you planning on doing?
Let's see. Actually, Thursday morning, I'm planning on going to the Chamber Coffee event, cool. And then let's see. I think February 5th. There's a breakfast at the Charlotte Masonic Lodge. Okay. Delta Waterfowl on the 8th. I believe Leslie Shelton, who's running for General Sessions clerk, she's got a campaign kickoff on the 20th. I'll be at that. And I actually called the clerk's office earlier. I pick up my petition on the 7th. Okay. So hopefully I can get some signatures at the Delta Waterfowl event. Mm-hmm. I'm looking to, if anybody's going to there, I'd love to meet everybody who's going there. Cool. Shake as many hands as possible. Get as many signatures as possible that night.
Yeah. How many do you need to have?
You're going to have 25, but, I'd like to have a lot more than that.
Sure.
So
I'm sure you can knock it out. Yeah. So are you? So you've got a kickoff party already planned too as well.
Yeah. I'm in the works of a campaign kickoff, looking like mid-March, beginning of March. I think actually first or second week of March. So I will definitely announce that on my Facebook page, Instagram. Okay. And I'll, anybody's welcome. We got a venue. We just got to iron out. I got a venue tentative date. Just got to iron out the details and go from there. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, you should get Gwenny to start doing TikToks for you.
No, I'm sure she'd do it. Yeah, I'm sure she would love that.
I'll drive by on Lee.
She would definitely love that.
See y'all out in the yard making a TikTok.
God, man, she's Gwenny. Gwenny's my 9-year-old, and she is full of energy. She's we're fortunate, Sarah, because a lot of kids, they're like, she does get on her iPad.
Sure.
But she loves to be outside. Sure. We got a U-shaped driveway, and she's got a bike. She's got a scooter. She's got an electric scooter that goes about 25 miles an hour. It's pink, and she loves riding that thing.
Well, good. We got Andy Rose one of those, my daughter, for Christmas. So hopefully, maybe we can bring her over, and Gwenny can, because Andy Rose won't get on it. She'll get on it when I'm driving, but she will not get on it. I can't even get her to ride a bike. She just pitches a fit. So,
Gwenny has no fear whatsoever.
It's not a bad thing.
And then we got a 1.5-year-old Willa Grace, and she's all over the place too. So
That's awesome.
it's fairly busy at our house.
You got a lot of girls in your household.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so with all the official stuff you've got going on, I know you've got a little bit of a personal life and obviously a family life too. So, what does Talmage like to do when he's not trying cases or running for judge? Or
does a hobby count keeping up with a 9-year-old and a 1.5-year-old? Because that's a lot of my time.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
I'm an avid outdoorsman.
Yeah.
I enjoy. Deer hunting, duck hunting, turkey hunting. I like to cook and grill. I've got a big green egg.
Nice.
I enjoy that. Physical fitness, Mika
workouts.
Yes.
Oh, good Lord.
AM workouts, man.
Yeah.
If I didn't have my AM workouts, I don't know what I would do, man.
Sure. It sets your day off, right?
It's just a mental health wise, it's just good for me.
Mm-hmm.
Stress reliever. Other than that, sporting events, just hanging out with the family, hanging out with Sarah Grace.
Yeah.
It's
important to kind of keep that balance, though.
Absolutely.
We can all too often get too caught up in kind of what we've got going on, and
absolutely.
You're lucky that you've got a good support system too. That's going to be everything here for the next several months, and but just to kind of keep that balance, like you said, it's really easy nowadays in the hustle bustle of life, and goal achievements and trying to really practice that service to others over service to self can be a little overwhelming at times.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Cool.
It's good to have a good support system. I've got one here in Dickson County.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you've been here for a while. You've got a good family history, and hard worker as well too.
Absolutely.
So obviously a lot of experience, and best of luck with everything.
Can I say just one thing? This is
absolutely.
kind of in my career, my legal career, both, and this is one of the reasons I'm running for judge. My legal career is both as a criminal defense lawyer and as a prosecutor. I've worked with victims. I've worked with law enforcement officers, families, victims' families, defendants' families. And the most important thing I can come off of being in this line of work is that I know you have to be fair and respectful to all parties involved in the legal system. And that's the only way to conduct yourself. And I've learned that you can't be afraid to make the right decision, even though it might be unpopular or might upset some people.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm fortunate enough to be elected Dickson County General Sessions Judge, I'm tell the people right now, I'd handle the job like I've done it as a criminal defense lawyer and as a prosecutor. I'd treat everyone fairly and with respect. Listen to each side and their arguments. Follow the law. And I wouldn't be afraid to make the proper decision, even though it might be the tougher one.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to get that out and let everybody know that.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that was a solid statement. Sitting here in the room with him, it felt wholehearted and truthful. So,
it is.
So yeah, and you're absolutely right. That saying, "The truth will set you free," is, it's easier said than done a lot of times, because sometimes little thing here, a little thing there, you can kind of get away with it, but little turds make a big pile of poop at some point. And
that's exactly right.
Being involved in Dickson, anybody, and I'm starting to experience this more and more myself as well, is that anybody that puts themselves out there for any reason, for the good, there's always going to be, the trolls, the people, the people that come along, the people that, the keyboard warriors, the people that don't know what's going on. I can't tell you. So I've been involved with Leadership Dickson County since I graduated in 2017, and I've been on the board ever since. Served as the board president for a year, and now I think I'm in my final term of the board as an ex-president. But and I've obviously been heavily involved with every class in between 17 and now, and every day after City County Government Day, I'll always talk to a couple people in the class. I'll know a couple of them, just ask how it went, and the first and main thing that they say is like it's unbelievable to see the other side of things. Like just see that you read the things in newspapers, you see all this crap on Hip Dixon and Facebook and other social sites, or even out at the at a restaurant or a bar or something having a drink, and people just complain, or they've got something to say about it, but they don't know both sides of the story.
Exactly.
And they don't know what these people go through on a day-to-day basis either. I mean, it's said every year that social media is one of the biggest hurdles for any elected official or city official to overcome, is because there's so much misinformation, fake news, there's so much of that out there. And once that snowball starts rolling,
I agree with you completely.
It's tough. So, but to be able to lay your head down on the pillow at night and say, well, I made the right decision.
Absolutely.
Everything will fall into place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's, what my boss likes to say, because people ask me, well, did you win or lose that trial? I'm like, well, I don't look at it like that. And this Ray Crouch says, what we do, and I agree with him as a prosecutor, you're there to seek the truth. When you go into a trial case, you're there to seek the truth. And if everything you're trying to prove when you walk in there, this defendant's guilty because of X, Y, and Z, and we're going to prove it, you're going to tell the jury the truth. You're seeking the truth that this person committed this crime, and he should be found guilty. That's the way I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good way to look at it. Because if you go into a jury trial and you've got doubts that person's guilty, you shouldn't be trying the case to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I've never done that.
Sure. Just take it for what it is, and if it's something you're comfortable with, that you feel that you can
and as a prosecutor,
ethically handle.
It's kind of I was getting to earlier. We have a lot of discretion. Some cases, like I was saying earlier about, people who get charged by an arrest warrant at the scene. Well, there's a lot of cases that, are investigated for months and months by TBI, whether it be TBI, Dickson County Sheriff's Department, Houston County Sheriff's Department, they're investigators. And a case comes along, and it's really up to law enforcement, because they'll present you, hey, here are the facts, this is what we got. What can we charge them with? It's your job, especially, that's a lot of how child sex abuse cases come about. They don't usually get arrested by an arrest warrant on the scene. There'll be a direct presentment to the grand jury. And, in those types of cases, I always like to, before I take a case to the grand jury, I like to sit down and talk with the victim or their family and kind of explain the court process, and because I feel more comfortable doing that. In child sex abuse cases.
Sure.
But, something like murder cases, you can't do that, obviously, because the victim's passed away.
Sure.
But you have a lot of discretion in doing that. And, much like a judge has a lot of discretion in deciding anything that comes before their court. So I think that's another reason that, I think I would be a good judge in general, because I've dealt with having to use discretion as a prosecutor. So.
And you've been around all walks of life too.
Absolutely.
All different places, all different trials, everything. So it's, obviously there are going to be some new things thrown your way, and new situations are going to have to be dealt with. But, obviously someone who's green in the industry is not going to be able to run for judge and have such confidence in doing so.
I'm fairly young to be, in this career, this field. I'm 37. I'll be 38 in February.
So how long are these terms?
8 years.
Okay.
So,
cool. And do you have to run if you go unopposed, you wouldn't really have to.
Nope.
Okay.
So, it's once you get elected, you got it for 8 years.
Okay.
So.
Cool.
They're fairly long terms, which I think I agree with for a judge.
Yeah.
Same way with same way with a district attorney or public defender or a circuit court judge. They're all 8-year terms.
Okay.
So.
Well, Great conversation, Talmage.
Yeah, man.
That's great.
One thing I want to note.
Yeah.
Early voting.
Yeah.
Will be July 15th through the 30th.
Okay.
Election day is August 4th, 2022. If anybody would like to reach out to me, I'll be glad to answer any questions, any phone calls. My email is T as in Tom, M as in Mother, Woodall, Woodall, the number 26 at gmail.com. So it's tmwoodall26 at gmail.com. And my cell phone number is 615-504-1603.
And your socials, where are you at on that?
I've got a Facebook page, Talmage Woodall for Dickson County General Sessions Judge. And Instagram is at Woodall, the number 4 Judge.
Cool. All right. Good.
Well, Michael, thank you again for having me on here.
No, thanks.
I appreciate it.
It's a great conversation. Very
Great
interesting.
conversation.
Yeah, it's. I think that kind of informing people how the process works and who you are and your experience is always good. I think that obviously in a position of sales, which you are currently in, and pretty much anybody in business is in sales, it's attention, and getting your name out there and letting people know who you are, but it's also clarity as well too, as far as what's going on.
Absolutely.
And who's running and what about that person. And I know this is just one platform, but a lot of people will just go in, and if they've been subconsciously programmed to seeing campaign signs all over, and they're like,
Yep.
oh, I know that name, they can check that box.
Yeah.
For whatever good or bad reason, whatever works. But having an opportunity to have something in recording, and I'll cut this up. And if you think of any points or anything that I can just have that specifically and just send it to you. You can use it for any sort of social media stuff like
Awesome.
that as well too.
Thank you.
So this will live on forever. So anybody that wants to listen to it, closer to election time, I can do a little nudge kind of closer to then as well too.
That'd be great.
And just have it, front of mind, coming closer in July and in August as well too. So, anything else you want to say before we shut her down?
That's it.
Cool.
Vote for Talmage Woodall, August 4th.
Vote for Talmage. Cool. Well, thanks again for coming in. Thanks everybody for listening. I surely appreciate it. Be sure to go check him out on Facebook and Instagram, and I'll have his emails and stuff posted in the video description in his cell phone, where I posted on YouTube and Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, all the good places where you can get your podcasts. Be sure to subscribe in any and all locations to help me out. Thanks for listening. Hope you have a good rest of the day. Until next time, peace. Thanks again to Your Vibes Entertainment for sponsoring this episode. If you're looking to boost your revenue, showcase your company, or just want to provide high vibe entertainment for your family, friends, employees, or clients, please reach out to them directly on Facebook or Instagram at Your Vibes Entertainment. Shoot them an email at yventertainmentservicesllc@gmail.com, or give the owner Michael a call directly at 615-330-3236. If you're interested in sponsoring an episode, please reach out to me directly via email at yourvibespodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening, and always remember, stay vibey, my friends.